Listen up.
It's the number one voice of the tri-state. I'm number one. It's Cooking Up 215. So let the show begin.
Turn me up.
Y'all already know who it is. It's your boy Smooth, and this is Cooking Up 215, where we get you up close and personal with your favorite artists, entrepreneurs, shakers, and move makers. And today's guest, we have someone special. Miss Mina Say What? Yes,
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, everyone. Hi.
Yeah,
Hi, everyone in the set. Hi.
You know, you're a major voice in the city. You've been on Power 99 about 12 years or in radio?
I was on Power for 6 years.
For 6 years?
Yeah, and then I've been with 100.3 5 years.
5 years?
Yeah.
It's been 5?
Yeah, it's about to be 5 in September.
I feel like I'm getting old, because I feel like it was just yesterday I was hearing you on Power 99, so that's crazy.
Yeah.
That 5 years flew by.
I left Power 99 the beginning of 2018.
Okay.
So I would say like December 2017 at the top of the year I left. And then I started working with Radio 1, which is 100.3. There was another station, 103.9. Do you remember that
Yeah,
dial?
I remember 103.9.
I was on 103.9 maybe 6 months after I left Power.
Okay.
And then I ended up going over to 100.3 like a year after. Yeah.
So was it a reason for leaving Power 99?
My contract stuff. I was a part of
Okay.
a morning show. When I joined the show, I was 25.
Right.
So I was actually like the youngest show host. I was actually the youngest on-air staff member.
That's crazy.
So I joined the morning show. It was like a good opportunity to like, you know, move up in my career and do morning radio. And radio, a lot of people, that's like the main thing. Like morning radio is like where you can make the most money. That's like the top. So it was a good opportunity and I took it, but then when I was there, I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to do this forever.
Right.
You know, so
you're not really a morning person, right? You don't
I
like
hated mornings because of that. I would be out late till like 12, 1 o'clock. I gotta be at work at 6. Try that.
Yeah, that's a hard body.
You know, so it's like, cause I'm very social, so I was always out. So it was hard. The schedule was definitely hard on me. And then I didn't just have like the morning show job. I also was like the digital manager as well. So when everybody else, all my co-hosts would go home at 10:30, I was still there till like 2, 3 o'clock, working all day. So it was hard. After, I would say I started to get like run down after like the 3rd year.
Right.
I signed 3 2-year contracts.
Okay.
So it was 2, 2, and 2. So in the middle of my second contract, I was already starting to feel like, okay.
This is it.
And then going into my last contract, I actually almost didn't even sign. But, you know, I ended up signing the contract. And, you know, I started to feel like this is coming to an end. I just didn't know what else to do. It was like the scaredness of what do I do after this? Because when you're on the contract, you can't talk to other people. You can't be like, yo, my contract about to be up.
For a new job,
It's in your contract not to like kind of have conversations with other people.
Right. So
it was scary for me to think like my contract is over. I'm just gonna be out here. Where am I gonna go? What am I gonna do?
To lose that
I
security.
can't line anything up. So, but you know, that the last 2 years was very difficult. The last 2 years was like I grew a lot, but it was the most difficult for me just because I was already starting to feel like, okay, what's next? Mornings is cool, but I think after having that on my resume for 4 or 5 years, I'm good.
Right. And so
what's the next thing?
You also were trying to get with Hot 97 at some point? Like you were cool with Ebros and you were
I was, but the contract thing never aligned. Like I think going into that last year was so hard for me because I think I lied. Those last 2 years, going into that contract, I reluctantly signed my contract. And it's crazy when they say trust your gut. Because literally like weeks after that, the whole Hot 97 thing exploded. Like Angie left, she's afternoons, Dennis left, that's middays. That doesn't happen in New York radio where 2 people leave at the same time in a big day part. So I really went through a moment like, damn, I made the wrong choice. Like something was telling me this, you know, I don't do this, but it was the fear of, well, what else am I gonna do? What opportunity is open? So I went ahead and I signed the contract, but look at what happened. Weeks later, there was a midday position, afternoon position.
And all these things opened
and I
up.
couldn't even do anything because I was
can't even
stuck.
try because now you're in the contract.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It was rough for me.
I didn't know they worked it like that. It's like, that make it kind of hard to start maneuvering and setting your moves in place.
Yeah. And most contracts like have non-competes too.
Right.
What that means is you can't even talk
To the
or
opposite
work
team,
anywhere.
yeah, right.
You can't talk to no one, but then you can't work anywhere for a certain amount of years. So in your negotiations, you try to like change
Work
that,
yeah.
but it's like they give you this contract and the contract look crazy. And it's like 10, 15 things and you're like, this crazy, that's crazy, I'm not doing that. But when you come down to negotiating, it's like, what crazy do you get at? You know, you gotta like kind of like start tearing it up. Like, these are my top things that I definitely need changed.
Right.
And if they don't change it, then I'm not doing it. Like, these are my, this is my heart. Like, these are my kind of like, it's yes or no on these. Like, my non-negotiables.
Your non-negotiables.
How about that?
Right.
My non-negotiables. And then these things are kind of things that I need to be lenient on, because realistically, when you go into negotiating a contract, you want all the crazy things out the contract, but I'm not Beyonce.
Yeah, you're not.
Like,
you gotta
Beyonce can go in and Rihanna like, nah, you know,
you gotta
like
have a little weight.
Right, and at that point,
leeway,
I'm my 20s, you know, like I'm still building. I don't have that weight to be like, nah, I'm not doing that, because at that point you gotta be ready to walk away.
Exactly.
And can you walk away? Do you have the name to walk away and stand on your own and do it on your own?
And get another position that's good or better. Right.
And that's how artists are too. Like when you sign with your label, you know, like, do you have the solo following? Are you that connected, popular? You know, do you have enough cachet, enough power to be like, peace? And then go to a next situation, because that's when you really find out where your power's at. You think you got power, then you leave the big structure and you out on your own, and you're like, damn, I ain't got no fans. Nobody coming to my show.
The phone like they used to.
Oh, you dropped from the label? Now people used to call you all the time and calling you.
They treat you differently.
It's hard leaving a really comfortable situation. So I was in my 20s and like, I was so proud that I had gotten to that point in my life where I could be in that space at such a young age. Right. I'm so, like, my counterparts are in their 40s, you know, like, I got here fast.
Yeah. The crazy part, you initially, was music the plan at first? Because I know you went to Syracuse and you just was hanging around with your DJ friends and they would have you come to the station and that's where you found your love for it.
Yeah.
But before you found that love, was this thought, when you was going to Syracuse, did you plan on being a radio?
So I always loved music. Since I was a kid, before, you remember back in the day, they used to put the lyrics on the back of the cassette.
And you could read it.
Because when I was a kid, I remember, like, I had maybe 2 cassettes before they transitioned into CDs. Because when they were transitioning from cassettes to CDs, it's like only people with money had the CDs, right? So my family members still had a couple little cassettes lying around, like they didn't make the transition all the way. It's the same way when you went from CDs to MP3s. Like MP3s was something that was more like technologically advanced. So some people it was still that middle area, right? And when I was in college, there was a lot of people still on CDs. I was already on MP3s. I was already on that. Like I was already on the next wave. So I think like music was always my thing. I used to read all the lyrics. I used to memorize raps and write them down. You know, like dope. That was always my thing. I just didn't think it was gonna be a career. Right. You know, and like I think that's a lot of like mistakes that people make sometimes. Like they think hobbies are careers when it's not, you know, or the other way around. In my position, I didn't think this was a career.
You thought it was a hobby.
I thought this was a hobby, right. So I think it goes both ways. But for me, like I always had a love and passion for music. I used to play a lot of video games when I was growing up. And I used to listen to like Missy Elliott on like repeat. Had no business. I was too young. Talking about break me up, show me what you got.
That's
I don't want no 1 minute man. I'm like 10 and I have no business listening to 1 minute man.
That's how we were.
Right.
Running around singing all the songs.
Right.
Thinking you grown dancing.
So I think music was always like in my blood and my love for music. And I just happened to stumble on people that already were doing music as a business in school and then as a career. And then it kind of just went from there. I'm the kind of person when I lock in on something, I get it done, right? So once I said I'm doing this, I was doing it.
It was on.
Yeah.
And your name, Mina Say What? You got that from the De La Soul song?
Yeah.
That's super dope. So you music all the way around.
Yeah, I didn't. Well, De La Soul's a little bit before me. So I remember when I was young, people used to sing a song to me, and I didn't understand. I didn't know. I just didn't know. Yeah. But when I got older, I was like, what should my name be? And I remember like kind of throwing a couple of things around. And at the time, I had just started working at Sirius XM, and I was like transitioning from college. It was like my first job. And Envy used to actually work there. And I remember running it by Envy, like, what you think of this name? Like, Mina Say What? He was like, nah, that's fire, go. So I was like, okay.
It's wild how like interwoven like radio is. Yeah,
well, when I interned at Hot 97, it's funny. Before I was Ebros' intern, I wanted to be Angie's intern so bad, and she had a producer named Monse, and I used to like email Monse and like harass him. Never got no response from Monse, right? But then I started to email harass everybody. So I started Miss Jones, who went to Syracuse, ironically, the same school I went to. I didn't know this at the time, but she was an alum. So I found out later that she was an alum, so I started harassing her. Like, hey, we're alums, hello. So I ended up having an interview to intern for her show, and that's when I first met Envy. I was a freshman. It was the summer of my freshman year. So like I told you, when I want to do something, I'll go ahead and do it. So at the end of my freshman year, I decided I was just gonna switch. I had like an undecided major. I thought I was gonna be like a lawyer or something, or I had a political science major.
That's crazy.
That was like, I was already taking classes for that. So
that's straight total opposite than
not really. It's very lawyering is a communications field. You got to know your contracts. Didn't we just talk about contracts?
Facts.
And I didn't want to be like I wanted to be like an entertainment lawyer, like I wanted to be a lawyer. I just didn't know how, with like what field yet. So at the end, I committed. I was like, all right, I'm going to do the communications thing. I'm going to take all the classes. By the end of my freshman year, because I started radio like my first semester of freshman year, I started like with the college radio.
With the college radio.
Yeah, right. So I committed to it, and then I was like, all right, I'm gonna get interns. It wasn't even my time to get interns yet. Like, you're supposed to get internships in a junior year, and I was already like at the end of my freshman year, like, well, I'm getting an internship every summer. I'm gonna be somewhere different. So I was trying every summer. I didn't have one. First summer I tried Angie, nothing. Second summer I tried Miss Jones. And she was doing the morning show at Hot 97 at the time, and Envy was on that morning show. So he was like the side character to that morning show before he went on the Breakfast Club. Right. So, and then it's funny, Jonesy used to be the side character to Star and Buck Wild. So it was like, it's always crazy. Like, you don't notice how people really put into their craft before they go off and do their own thing.
You think they just got this top position and they've been there.
Jonesy was doing stuff with Star and Buck, but it was their show, right? And then Jonesy got her own show after that, and then Envy was doing kind of like, he contributes to, but her show, he contributes to the show, and then he got his own thing. So, people put in a lot of work for years that people don't see on the outside, but behind the scenes, they put in a lot of work for a long time before they even get that opportunity. Because when you get that big opportunity, you gotta be ready for it, or else you're not gonna keep it. So a lot of these people that stay in these positions, I mean, I think Envy's been on that show for 15 years now. Yeah. Because I've been here in this market now already 11 years. Yeah. It's been 11 years.
Your anniversary, your radio anniversary was the other day, right?
Right. So I started at Sirius XM, so I have 4 years before I even got here. So I was working up there for 4 years before I got here. So I worked for Sirius XM for 4 years, and then so I've been in Philly on air 11 years. And I remember Envy and them got their show like a year or two before. So they must be, that Breakfast Club show got to be like 14 years.
Yeah, I think it was, he said, was it 13 years?
13, yep, 13 years. It got to be in. Because I've been in Philly 11 years. And like I said, when I got my morning show job, they've been doing the Breakfast Club for a year. Yeah. So it got to be 12 going on 13 years that they've been doing that show.
They've been putting that time in.
Right, but even before that, Envy was doing the show with Jonesy, and that's when I met Envy. Even before I worked at Sirius XM, I met Envy when he was working on Miss Jones' show. He was like the first radio personality I ever met, in New York. Yeah. Because I was doing stuff in Syracuse and stuff. Yeah. But I auditioned to be a morning show, their intern, and I met Envy that day. I didn't get to be her intern. I wasn't picked. I don't know why. But
you've been grinding.
The next year, I was like, okay, well, Angie, I can't reach. They didn't want me on their show because they didn't pick me. I'm going to try this one. Yeah. So then I tried the programming internship with Ebros, and I got picked.
And you got picked?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't think people understand. I was just having this conversation about how much work goes into getting that dream job or that dream position, or just getting where you want to go. Like, you really got to be active and be at it. Like the fact that you were trying to get internships your freshman year, when you talking about normal people wait till sophomore, junior. You know what I mean? So it just showed like you gotta really go at it. And it worked for you because you was the youngest person at the station. You got your job at 25.
Right,
and most people wait they get it 30, 35 and stuff like that.
Well, I was working at it. So when the position came, obviously there's some things that I had to learn on the fly because it was a position I've never done. Right. But I feel like my talent, I was ready for that. When I left at the end of 6 years, 5 years and 9-10 months. When I left, I could do mornings easy, 25 years from now, and I would be able to do it. Do I want to? I don't, not
that's
now.
Not really what you want to do.
Maybe,
so what would be your dream position?
I don't know. It changes.
Yeah. It's
always changing. Like, you think you have a dream position, you get there, and then you're like, okay, what now?
That's a
fact. And it was like, everything is not always what it seems. So everybody's like, cool, I want to do mornings. Then you get to mornings, you're like, oh, this is cool, but I kind of want my independence back. I want to do my own stuff.
Right.
You got to think when you're on a morning show, it's a team. Like, you guys got to agree on interviews. Like, you got to do everything together. I'm an only child. So that in itself, I was like, I got to be in the room with both of y'all for 4 hours? Yeah. That's crazy. I never been in a room with anybody for 4 hours.
That's wild.
So and I was 25. I was out of college, like, I don't know. It was an adjustment. It was an adjustment for me. I wasn't used to working with people so closely, like every day together and in the same room. Like I can only go and pee, and then I only got 10 minutes because commercials is 8 to 10 minutes. I gotta be back. Like, damn, how have I had like something's going on and I need more than 8-10 minutes.
Ate some bad noodles last night.
Right. So but everything is a learning opportunity, and I would not be as good as I am now had I not gone through what I went through there and what I learned about not just myself as a person, but just how sharp I got with, my talent. So a lot of people in radio, like, because of voice tracking and like being able to pre-record, right? A lot, some people can't really do live, like they're intimidated by it. You'd be surprised how many people are like, recording their stuff. Yeah. I can do both. I didn't know that
until I started to like get associated. Like, I'm cool with Cav, I'm cool with RL.
Yeah.
So I learned, like, RL pre-recorded some of his sets and stuff like that. So it really was, damn, I was like, I always thought when you was on the radio, you was on the radio.
Right,
like,
but it's changed with technology. I mean, some people don't even know how to run the board. Like, like, not everybody, but, it's not how before you need to be able to do everything, like, you need to be able to edit your audio, run your board, like, how to mic up.
So
like,
now you don't got to do all those type of things.
Now you don't, because there's technology, there's engineering, you can pre-record. Some people aren't even live, they're pre-recorded, so maybe they don't develop that skill, until they start doing a show that requires you to develop that skill.
And now you're trying to catch up on the fly.
Yeah, right. So that show, we were live every day, 24/7, 365. And it really, like, allowed me, like, now I can go live and do anything. I can do a video thing, like, and people are like, whoa, you're a one take,
it prepares you for everything.
Right, and it's like, nah, I'm one take because I prepared for this. You know how many times I messed up on air? Skills. People on Twitter like, get your shit together. Like, y'all get it, wake up, get some coffee. Like, you can't mess up because everybody's like on you. Oh, you said the wrong information. Like, damn, I was tired.
Yeah. Players mess up.
Can I mess up? What? You have no idea how many people I said one wrong thing and they on Twitter like it like getting at me. Oh, like, that's not what happened.
The internet is relentless.
And I'm like, damn, but I was tired this morning.
The internet is relentless. They expect perfection no matter how imperfect they are.
Right.
They expect you to have it right all the time. You do one thing, they pointing it out, going crazy.
But it makes you better. So it's like now I can do either or like even if I am live and I mess up, I know how to make it so it doesn't sound like a mess up. And so it's like it made me learn that really well. So you can literally throw me in any kind of fire. Like there could be a damn tornado and I'm live on air and I'm unfazed.
Yeah.
You know, like we in a tornado, y'all. It's 165 miles per hour. The winds are 35. You know, like so it really prepares you for whatever. And you know, that's the skill that I took away from that. So now, you know, I do a little bit of both, and I'm just happy that I have that, you know, that skill. You know how many people are in the radio station like, I want to learn how to use the board. Right. And I'm like, that should have been the first thing you did. You know, like when I learned, that's the first thing you did. You learned how to use the equipment before you even touched the mic, before you even got to speak. You knew how to use the equipment. I come from that school. Right. Now, they learning how to speak and don't know how to use the equipment. Like, how you on air and you don't know how to run the board? It's
a disadvantage to it because you don't got all the tools in the toolbox.
Right, but it comes down to training, right? It's not their fault. It's who's the person that is allowing you to have this space without preparing you for that space, right? So everybody is different. You know, I've learned that with different management styles, you know, you just gotta, you know, all right, well, cool, that's how it is. Everybody don't got the same path. Everyone's not gonna have the path that I have. I had to learn all the technical stuff before I even cracked the mic. People are different. You know what I'm saying? They have different paths. I don't look down upon it. You know, I don't.
You just gotta leg up.
Right,
at that point,
but I do see where some people that may seem prepared for the moment are not prepared for the moments because they haven't put in the work to learn everything about their craft behind the scenes. And when you don't put in the work to learn everything about your craft behind the scenes, it will show at some point.
It will show.
At some point. It may not show immediately, but at some point it's going to show. It's going to be like, oh, we got this big breaking news. You telling me you don't know how to go on air and do this live? But you on air?
When you get put on the spot, it's going to be bad. Yeah.
So it's like there's different little things where, you know, it's just different how people come up now. Right. But it's not to say anything about them. Right. No, again, people that don't put in the time into really learning their craft.
You just gotta want it. If you want it, you're gonna make sure you learn every aspect of your job, period.
Right.
But so your end dream is to be like in a position like Steve Harvey? Like you want to reach television?
I think if anything is it, I think Steve Harvey's it.
He definitely one of them people, he pioneered. He went from TV to having his own show.
But the thing about Steve is he's not putting himself in a box. That's why you say, well, what do you want to do? It's not really that. It's like, well, what opportunity comes around that seems interesting that where I could flex another skill set that I have. Like when I was sitting, during the pandemic, I started writing for the Philadelphia Tribune, like actual news stories, right? And I remember somebody was like, your stories are real good, like surprised. I'm like, I'm a journalist. Yeah, you do. I went to Syracuse University. But that's the thing. I've never done that as a job, right? Like as a job by itself. Like I've written articles for radio station websites, you know, like articles for my own website, right? You need to be able to write if you're going to be in the communication field, right? So I could write an article, sir. Right, I graduated cum laude with 2 majors and a minor. I know how to write an article from a top journalism school. Right. But it's funny, until you have that title, people don't even see that from you, right? So during the pandemic, I was sitting there, I started writing, and I did that for like a year and a half. Then when I had the baby, I had to step away, and I could go back right now and write, but I'm trying to find the time to do everything.
Right. Well, this is new for you.
Right.
Know, so you gotta learn how to adjust.
Yeah, having the baby.
Put your time with the baby and put your time into your craft and everything like that.
But I have that on my resume now. So it's like, it's not a box of like, I want to do this. It's like, okay, I have that skill. Like I've done it before. Let me switch up because I have the time. Yeah. Now I have that on my resume. So now I can say I'm a lifestyle reporter, writer. Right. And I literally have the experience to back that up. Yeah. And then say another opportunity comes and, you know, and okay, well, we need you. Like Sherry Shepherd, I want to work with Sherry Shepherd so bad. So bad I want to work with Sherry. And I interviewed her before, and when I interviewed her at SiriusXM, she was like, man, that was a really good conversation. You're really good at what you do. And she said to me, I bet you don't even get like the props that you should be getting. I was like, well, people like you know this, so that's enough, Sherry. So I'm hoping that that she remembers that. So it's like, yo, you know how many times I be in Sherry Shepherd's comments? Now you're going to see me. Yo, Sherry, let me work for you. Yo, Sherry, let me get your coffee. Yo, Sherry, let me get your tea. Like, because that's something, first of all, I want to work with her. Second of all, I think the production of her show is incredible. Third of all, I think she's a new talent on daytime TV. She's funny. You know, she has a big personality.
Right.
And it's like, I want to work with someone like that.
Right.
So it's like, that intrigues and excites me. So I want to go do that now. So not necessarily like I have this very planned out, like, oh, I want to do this, but it's kind of like,
when you see it,
I think I could do that. Let me try to do that. All right, let me do it. Boom, boom, boom. All right, cool. What's next?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it is. So like, I always had it on my mind where I want to write a book. Have I? No. You know, but one day when I drop my book, it might be 5, 10, 15, who knows how long it's going to take me. But it's something I always wanted to do in the back of my mind because I know I can do it. Right? All I need is an illustrator to write, you know, to like do the pictures
you put
and
your
the
mind
cover
to
art.
it, you'd be surprised.
And now you can self-publish with Kindle and everything. Like I've been doing a lot of research behind the scenes of like self-publishing your book. So it's like, yeah, I want to do a book. Am I going to do it right now? No. I wanted to tell people, yeah, I'm a writer. I did it. I'm okay. Now we on to the next. You know, I have an interest in sports. You know, I've been applying for different sports jobs here and there. Have I got an opportunity? No. But the second I get an opportunity,
like a sports reporter?
Yeah,
that's dope.
I'll be like, all right, cool. I could do this.
Right.
So it's like, it's not necessarily like I know exactly. It's like I know that I'm good at certain things, and when the opportunity presents itself to me, I try those things. And that's the only way you're gonna know if it's for you or not. That's why I be telling kids when I talk to them, like, try different things, go to different jobs. You know, like and like the way that we are, you know, millennials and even younger, we can't get stuck in one thing. It drives us crazy. Like back in the day, our parents used to be at the same job for 40 years.
So many options now. Like, it's hard.
40 years? You did the same thing? You wasn't bored? Like,
so
I can't.
options.
So it's like, I was 6 years at somewhere, like, okay, what I'm gonna do next? I was like, what am I doing next, you know? So it's like, you know, it's really that. Like, I love radio. Radio's always gonna be my love. I'm always gonna do radio, but I really like how Steve Harvey has been like, okay, I'm gonna do radio. Okay, I'm gonna go do this TV show. Okay, this don't work. I'm gonna go over here and do Family Feud. This is kind of working. I'll keep this. Let me go over here and do this other show. Okay, that didn't work. I'm gonna go over there. Okay, let me write my book, Think Like a Man. You know, act like a woman. And it's like, he's doing this, but I don't think Steve Harvey will sit here and tell you unless he's like, you know, he sees the future. But I don't think anybody who is that successful will grow up and say, few people, because some people are visionaries and they do see their lives, all right? Me, it wasn't like I could have told you, I'm going to do that. Like, you have the aspirations, but you don't really know how your life is going to look. What happens is people that are successful just keep doing the next thing and they're good at it. And they do their best at everything that they do.
That come their way and it leads you
they take the opportunities, they put in the time to develop their craft and be good at that craft. And they just keep climbing. And next thing you know, you look back, you're like, whoa, I did all this stuff. I didn't even think I was going to do half this stuff. Maybe I thought I was going to do that, but definitely not this. You know, so it's like, yeah, could I have told you I was going to be on the radio for 15 years? No.
Never seen it.
I knew I wanted to be on radio. Like, I always knew that, but 15 years.
You just worked hard and got
15 years, a woman, a Latin woman, radio, 15 years.
Opening doors.
In non-Latin spaces.
Right.
It's not like I went and did, like, you know, it's a different space where people like me are not really prevalent, that look like me are prevalent in those spaces, and I'm in those spaces for 15 years.
15 years, yeah.
You
in there at this point.
So, and I don't, it's funny you say that. I don't feel that way. I feel like I still have work to do. Like, I still want to work with Sherry Shepherd. Sherry Shepherd, hire me!
When you aspire for more, you always got work to do. It's like I learned that success is not an end goal. There's no, you know what I mean? There's no top to it. Like, that's why a lot of billionaires still working. They still acquiring new assets or getting new investments because there's no, you know what I mean? You just keep going. Life keeps lifing. You just keep on going, seeing where you can go. Next thing you know, you go from Kanye making beats to making sneakers, and then you're a billionaire. You know what I mean? So you never know. You
know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Kanye said, "I knew all this was gonna happen," because that's how Kanye is.
He did talk like that in that little documentary.
That's rare for someone to see their whole life and then execute the way that they saw it. That's not regular shit at all. No, the rest of us regular people,
we gotta play it out.
We're like, okay, let me do this, let me do that. All right, now I'm doing this, now I'm doing this. But the fact that man saw his whole life and executed, that's a 1 percentile thing.
You hungry yet?
I am hungry.
You ready for this food?
I smell that food.
Yeah, listen, y'all already know what time it is.
Who did the food though?
We got Private Dinner Club. They prepared the whole spread back there. So it's your boy Smooth. We got Mina Say What. It's Cooking Up 215, and we be right back. Let's go.
It's our favorite part of the show. That's your favorite?
Yes, sir.
Chef, what you got cooking? You already know.
Y'all already know who it is. It's your boy Smooth, Cooking Up 215. We got Mina Say What with us still. And listen, we just got blessed. We got some vicious plates right now. We talking short ribs, string bean medley. We got some grilled chicken, and the mac and cheese is looking crazy. So shout out to Private Dinner Club for blessing us. You know what I'm saying? Private Dinner Club really be trying to stay private, so he didn't even want to show his face. It's like he cooked with a mask on. You don't even know his real name for real. He just comes, puts it down, and he slides. So make sure y'all, we're going to put a little link there so y'all can go check out Private Dinner Club. But it's time. It's the time where we pick up them forks. And
I was telling you, I don't think I could continue
to talk and eat this food. Listen,
because when I eat, I don't be chit chatting. I just eat.
Jump right into it. Go full,
I need a prop up. I need to prop my food up. I can't eat like that. I don't know how people eat like that. I need like a chair.
Man, we be
table.
doing this because we go to cookouts. You don't get no tables at cookouts.
I'm gonna make a table.
We know how to put the thing.
Look, I found the table. I just made it.
We do that thing like this. Mac and cheese though. Hit 'em.
The string beans.
Hit 'em. They look like
I'm trying to eat healthy. I got 15 pounds to lose after I had my baby. I gained 50 pounds, which I had never been that heavy in my life. And people be glorifying the snapback. Everybody don't got the snackback. I didn't even snap. I just SM'd. Like there's no snap and then back. It started and stopped. And then they were like, well, if you breastfeed.
I was gonna ask you that.
Lies. Y'all telling lies. All of y'all. I breastfed until my baby was 4 monts.
And it didn't help with it? They act like the breastfeed and help eat up some weight.
It helped some, but I gained 50 pounds.
Still got 15.
It's not magic breastfeeding. So I gained 50 pounds. I still have 15. So I lost all of that, but I had never been that heavy, period. So, and then I had a really rough delivery too. So I had like a period of recovery afterwards where I had to sit and lay in the bed. Like I didn't want to. I wanted to get up and do stuff. The house was a mess. The baby, was home. Everything was all over the place. But yeah, I had to like sit and recover a little bit. So I still have the weight to lose. So I've been trying to be healthy, but I guess not today.
Yeah. So I've been trying to eat right too. What I've been doing is eating good all week, and then on the weekend, I give myself some room because, they say you gotta set like realistic expectations, and I know I'm not gonna always eat straight for the rest of my life.
Right.
So I gotta fit it in there. So the weekends is when I tend to, kick back, drink some juice, because during the week I only drink water.
Right.
I try to get a gallon in a day. I've been going to the gym every day during the week if I can. Weekend, let your hair down. You know what I mean?
That's the thing. You got to do the water, which I'm not doing well. And you got to do the gym, which I'm not doing at all. And the thing about it is, like, when I had my baby, and I'm sure this is for everybody, like, I took a back seat. Like, everything for me, it just went to the left. Like, I'm doing my hair, doing my nails, going to the gym. Like, everything just became not important because everything is about the child and making sure the child's together. And so I'm still in that weird period where I'm still trying to find that balance
to get back
of
to
doing
yourself.
Things for me and like things that make me feel good about myself. And then also like being a great mom to her. So I don't have like a schedule yet. Like I went and did my hair today only because I was like, I'm doing this today. So I asked my mom to watch the baby. Otherwise I would have her right now.
Right.
I wouldn't be at the salon getting my hair done. I would be with my baby. So I'm still trying to find that balance. And I'll get there. You know, it doesn't happen fast. It's only been 8 months.
Right.
So I remember like the first couple of months.
17 more years to go.
Right. No, their whole life. I'm not even that parent.
Yeah.
I'll be there every day like, hello. So I saw something on TikTok today about like all the different moms.
The different types of moms.
Like the cool mom, and you know, like the overbearing mom and the nosy mom. I'm like, I'm definitely gonna be the mom that's there all the time. Like, you good? What you need? Okay, let's get it together. Where we going? What we doing?
She gonna be spoiled.
I think so too, but I hope not. Like, my mother, the way she raised me is like she gave us everything that she could, but I wasn't spoiled, so I still understood you have to work hard for certain things.
Facts.
And I think that's the best thing, because if you give too much and they don't understand the value of what you're giving, they may not understand how hard you have to work in order to get certain things. So I think my mother did a good job where I never wanted for anything, but she also was like, okay, well, if you want something that I feel like is not a necessity and it's something that you want, you can go and get a job and get it done.
I had to kind of do that with my kids because my kids was going to private school, Catholic school, and they really just started to think like money grew on trees.
Right.
Like, you know, when they get older, they start asking for, you know, they got kids going to school in Balenciaga.
I was just going to say that.
Boy.
The kids now is different. They asking for Balenciagas. When I was a kid, I'm like, can I get some Air Force Ones, Mom? The all white Johns? Like, they asking for, I was like, I didn't even know what a Balenciaga was at that age.
Listen, it's crazy out here. And the crazy part is that the kids in school, they, you know, kids lie, kids tell lie. They, you know, they telling each other like they bought these Balenciagas. So you think this kid sitting in high school, but he got $1,000 to go spend on sneakers? Come on.
Right.
Like, come on, y'all not using your brain. I'm like, they parents working for that. They doing all that. And I'm like, and I'm not gonna do it. I'm not sending you to school and paying your tuition and then sending you $1,000.
I'm not doing that either.
I'm like, you want that? Then
you go get it.
Yeah, go work for it. Get it. Get your money up. So they always find themselves trying to do something, you know, hustle up some money to do what they want to do. Like my daughter, she does baking. Like she like to make cake pops and
that's how it
and
should be. Yeah.
And she sell it at school. You gotta learn how to work for what you want. You want this, put your time in, grind up.
Yeah.
I tell them all the time, you should start now.
Yeah.
I'm like, y'all in the perfect age where you got social media.
Right.
So it's like, we ain't
you
had
can
this
sell
back
anything
then.
on there, right.
You could build a whole legacy right now. You could start right now on your future. Like back then, we had to figure everything out from a muscle. You know what I mean?
I worked at Modell's for $5.25.
That's crazy.
I was selling sneakers for $5.25. Now you can't even get a fucking a sandwich or a hoagie from the damn Poppy store for $5. I worked for a whole hour
for that
to
sandwich.
make that. Right. So
yeah, the times is definitely different.
Yeah.
It's crazy out here. But so I know that you got your own show now. You also got a podcast.
Yeah.
And what's the name of your podcast?
The Mina's House Podcast.
The Mina's House Podcast.
Well, before the pandemic, we literally would record in my house.
Okay.
And then, obviously, the pandemic changed things up, so we started doing Zoom. Ooh, that mac and cheese is good.
That was real. But so what made you go the podcast route? What made you decide to, you know, step in the game?
You know, I had like a little podcast when I was at Power 99, but it wasn't like the most important thing. Only because obviously my on-air show was the most important thing.
Okay.
So the podcast was more so like any guest that I wanted to do that I couldn't get on air. Because remember I said it was all like, everybody has to agree, and
right,
you know, it's like a team effort. Yeah. We used to have meetings and talk about, yes, we want this person, no, we don't. If I got outvoted, it doesn't matter what I thought.
Right.
So I started to use the podcast as a way to like do people that I couldn't get on air. And then when I left, I was like, I still used it for that same thing. I just renamed it.
Right.
So it was basically like anything that I didn't do on the radio, or I didn't feel like fit on the radio.
Right. A place where you could be yourself, like fully let loose and give the world everything of you.
Right. Like we had an interview with Sukihana.
Oh, that's dope.
And now Sukihana got a song with Afro B, so she's getting more radio love. But back then, try telling people you want to interview Sukihana on the radio. And she is funny, but she curses up a storm. Yeah. Like, she was very entertaining. She was like our favorite interviewee, but you know,
Yeah.
it's like, it's not always something you could do on that medium.
Right.
Now that she got a song, it's different. Now, yes.
Yeah.
But imagine if radio interviewed all the media, you know, reality TV show stars. We have to talk to everybody because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
So
I think I need to reach out to my guy, Ugly Nove. I know you be tapping in, so hook me up, man. We need Suki to slide through.
yeah,
She
she's
definitely
funny
on her-
as
on her
shit,
thing.
man.
But I like her new song.
It's hot.
That song is a
Casamigos.
good, yeah.
Casamigos.
Yeah.
Casamigos. That's
She
my
say,
shit.
pour it in my cup.
Yeah.
Casamigos. That your hard.
But
I'm like, she did that one.
Right.
She got one.
Well, Afro B got the ear, you
Yeah.
know.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, but when I interviewed her on my podcast, she didn't have a song.
Right.
So that the radio was playing. So it's just an opportunity for me to talk to those people and in a different setting. Like I remember I spoke to D. Ray Davis when he
dope.
first when we first saw him on Snowfall. Now that's a situation where I could probably bring him on the radio and talk about that because the show is over.
Right.
So it's like, you know, with the radio, it's like it's limited time. So you have to be very, you know, mostly it's supposed to be for music. So anybody who's not music, it's like they have to bring some sort of value. Obviously, or it has to be like a big show, let me say that.
Right.
So, or it has to be someone local,
Yeah.
in my case. So like if there's a local artist, like I talked to TJ Adams, he's from Philly, from North Philly. He played ODB in the Wu-Tang series. So he's from North Philly. He's from North Philly.
I think I did hear that. That's crazy.
I had him on the radio because of that.
Right.
Now, had he not been from North Philly, why am I randomly gonna have you
Somebody
know,
from a show
right?
on
Because think about it, if I
radio.
do him, I gotta do everybody, and it's
Right.
like we're there for music, and that's what people forget. I'm there for music, so primarily, all my interviews are music related. But if it's not, it gotta make sense.
Right.
So why does this person make sense? Well, he's from North Philly, that's why. Okay,
why it
cool.
works, yeah.
Otherwise, I would have to have everybody on that
The
series
whole
on.
gang, yeah.
Not everybody's watching that show.
Yeah.
Like I watched the show. I think the show is fire.
The
But
show
look,
is super fire.
look. Have you watched the show?
Yes.
Have you watched the show? Have you watched the show? Don't say yes.
Y'all
if-
watch the Wu-Tang?
Y'all watch the
yeah,
Wu-Tang? All of y'all? Okay, so this is a different room.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is,
Because we love music, so you know we
right,
gonna
but
tap
this is
in.
a different room. But you go out in the world and ask
Everybody don't watch
everybody,
it,
yo, you know, did you watch the Wu-Tang series? You maybe, you know, 80% will say, I don't know what the
Right.
percentage is.
It ain't like Power.
But
it's an acquired taste.
right, but then even so, but you ask everybody, do you know who, you know, Chris Brown is?
They know.
They say yes. Do you know who Jasmine Sullivan is?
Right.
Yes. So it's like, that's really how you do the test of, does this person belong here? And what, like my program director says, who gives a fuck factor. That's what he calls it. Like, who gives a fuck about this?
That's dope though.
Is this
It's a good
something
way to
that
figure
you
it out.
like? Is this someone that everybody in the room's gonna like? Like, you gotta really try to decipher who gives a fuck about this, and why should I not play their favorite song to have this person talk?
Right.
Does it make sense? So TJ's from North Philly, that makes sense. This North Philly guy is on a major show.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I had TJ Adams on.
He's super creative. Like, he played that part.
Yeah, he
like,
is.
He really embodied the role ODB on a crazy
I really
level.
feel I see a lot of, I don't know ODB, but from what we've seen,
Right.
I feel like there's a lot of similarities in their
like
character.
he did it like, man, like he was there. Like he
I said that to him. He was like, "You think?" I was like, "Yeah."
The voice, the mannerisms,
Yeah,
the way
he
he carried
really-
himself. You know what I mean? Like he really.
That's
he
his
really killed that
first
joint.
big acting role. And he told me he got something on called Fells High, which is filmed right here in Fells High,
Yeah.
with Amari Hardwick coming.
Yup.
So so I did him. So it's like, that's really like, I'm able to put that on the radio. But had I not been able to put him on the radio, I would be like, "Yo, come on my podcast because I think you're dope."
Right.
So it's a way to still like create that connection, network with that person, talk to them about their life, and then build that relationship. Should I then need to come, like now I've interviewed Sukiana, so I gotta call her and be like, "Yo, come," like we already have that relationship, and it isn't like I'm hopping on like everybody else just because you're
Right.
hot right now.
Right.
Like, no, I actually had interest
I was
in you
invested in
before,
you
right, before
since
you
then.
became hot.
Right.
Same thing with Drizzy P. We were just talking about Drizzy P. I had him on.
I seen that. Yeah, I seen.
And
the freestyle on
he's
the
from Broomall, actually.
Right.
He's from Broomall, and he's opening up for Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
And Wayne really supports him and like fucks with him, you know.
He signed to Lil Wayne.
Right, but like now everybody's starting to know about him. So now everybody's, but I interviewed him before, so it's like, it's just building those organic relationships. So you're not just coming on board when you're hot,
right,
when everybody else is coming on board. Like, no, Mina was there before all this even happened for me.
I think that's what we missing. Like, I don't think, like, my whole push right now, even with the shows, like, I'm just so against the way people like to wait till you all the way there. Like, you can recognize when somebody got potential.
People don't do that.
You can recognize when they working, and then you can still appreciate and show them love while they in that working stage. You don't gotta wait till everybody else has recognized them to then be like, oh yeah, I've been watching you. I was watching you since then. Well, why you didn't help me along and show that love? I could have used that. You know what I mean?
But you got to understand, it takes for people to actually have vision and courage. And a lot of people don't have the courage to come out and say something that's hot without everybody else's approval. We live in this world where people need approvals from others. They need likes. They need, they need comments. They need people to like hype them up.
Right.
And it's like, there's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm saying is, you have to have enough confidence in your ideas and the things that you like in order to support them and advocate for them before everybody else does.
Right.
Because everybody else is not going to see what you see.
They're not going to see it at all.
But you have to have the courage and the confidence to do that when nobody else is doing it. Yeah, and a lot of people don't have that. People are scared to go out and say something that they might be wrong about. You know how many times I've said something and this is the next one, or this is the next artist, or this is the next hot song.
And it may not play out.
And it may not play out, but then there are the songs that do play out.
Right.
So it's a gamble. So it's about like
being okay
with what you like. Yeah. Right. Like, this is what I like. This is what I think it is. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But at least I talked about something that I really like naturally believe in.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a fact. So how do you feel about radio in its current state? Like, you think, like, I feel like Breakfast Club changed a lot of things, the way radio is approached now. Like, even when it come down to having shows, it's not about, like, just getting on radio and then that's it. Like, even Cosmic Cav or you yourself, like how you had Drizzy come up there. Now it's like footage, it's behind the scenes.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's more intricate. Radio is damn near like small shows, each one. How you feel about that? I
think radio has changed. I think it's started to become more digital, and it has to be. To your point, it's not just about the radio anymore. It's about the behind the scenes, the other things. Like when I had Drizzy come on, he obviously didn't do a freestyle on the radio. You know what I'm saying? But we did a behind the scenes like freestyle where his freestyle is behind the scenes. So radio has had to evolve because of all the digital stuff going on, shows like this, where they have to provide behind the scenes content and, maybe do podcasts on the side or, like even with the Breakfast Club, their interviews are chopped up and kind of like, reposted in so many different ways. And by repost, I don't just mean on social media, but they're kind of like repurposed for all the different ways that you could consume the Breakfast Club. So it's, the primary thing is the brand that they have. Then they have the interviews, right? So you might go and watch the interviews on YouTube. That's how you interact with them. You may not even listen to the radio show. Right. So that's one leg that wasn't there before. Before it just used to be you crack the mic and that's what it is because everybody was listening to you on the mic. But now since everybody's not listening to you on the mic, you have to really distribute your content in all these different avenues. So YouTube is one of them. Maybe you do listen to the radio. You listen to the edited version of the, interview on the radio. Maybe you don't listen to radio. Maybe you listen to podcasts. Well, now that audio is available on SoundCloud, on, Spotify, Apple Music. Right. So it's the same thing. They didn't do 4 different jobs, but it's being used in these different avenues where you can find that content, right? So You might get it on Spotify or Apple Music. You might get it on YouTube. This person might be listening on the radio. Maybe this Gen X, Gen Y, they don't listen. They don't consume none of that. They on TikTok, right? They don't do none of that, right? At least we will go to YouTube. We go to Spotify. They go on TikTok, and that's it. So it's like, okay, now their clips of their interviews are on TikTok and Instagram. So right there, that's what radio is. All of the central nucleus of all of that is radio. So that's how radio has had to evolve. Right. Whereas before it was just the radio. Right, now you got to make sure, now it's content driven. Right, there you go. So now you create content, and radio is one of the ways that you deliver the content to people, but now you have to also make that content available on these other things. So when I was evaluating myself as a radio personality, like I'm like, okay, well, what do I need to do? Well, I'm on two different I'm on two different stations. I'm on Sirius XM and I'm on 100.3 in Philly. So I make sure most of my interviews are on YouTube. So you can go on my YouTube and listen to that. But then I also have my podcast, where you can hear not necessarily that same stuff, because remember, I work for these companies, so I don't own that audio. So I can't take the audio and then put it to that, because I don't own it, right? So I create my own content with Sukiana and D-Ray Davis and Skip Marley and all the other people I've interviewed on my podcast. And now you can find me there. You know, so it's like now when you go, and you can find my content on social media, you know, and on TikTok, on Instagram, I put clips up all the time. So it's like anywhere you go, you can find my content. You can stream my content. You can watch it on YouTube, or you can just watch it on social media. So me as a brand, in addition to how radio has expanded, I've had to expand myself and making sure that my content is at all of these places where different people will go. Like I remember when all of this first started happening, you know, and it happened during the pandemic. I think our listening kind of really changed during the pandemic, because our schedules changed, when we were going to work changed, when we were in the car changed, you know what I'm saying? Like all of that changed. So I remember at my job, they gave us like a pie chart. I mean, it said X amount of people listen to radio. X only get their content from social media. X still watch the news. You know, X get everything from YouTube. So it had the breakdown of different people according to their lifestyle and where they would get their different, not only just news, but music, content. You know, like the kids they don't listen to the radio for music. They go on TikTok. They're like, that's the TikTok.
So if you want to reach them, you know, you got to put content here. You want to reach this amount of, or kind of people.
Right. So it's like really understanding that, like, okay, everybody listens a different way, and we got to be there wherever they listen. And that's kind of how radio has had to evolve and not so much like the music aspect, because now you can get music anywhere, but now it's like you creating a brand, creating content that's available in many different spaces. That's why you have all these radio companies now, like we do podcasts. Everybody's going to do it. I think at this point, it's becoming like whatever craft you have, you can further promote that craft, or, you know what I mean, help yourself stand out by giving them a podcast, because you could build a relationship with the people that watch, and now they personally are invested in you, so now they invest in the brand, and they might buy your products or whatever, support your show, stuff like that. It's the same thing with selling something. Like you got to be where the customer is. That's what they tell you in Business 101. Go where the customer is. So it's like, okay, are you getting foot traffic? No. So how do I go where the customer is? Well, maybe I started a website. Okay, I started my website. I went on Shopify and uploaded all my stuff. I'm still not selling well, why aren't you selling it on Instagram? You know, now they got where the picture pops up and the little dot pops up and it tells you what it is and how much it is.
Right.
Go crazy. To where your customer is. If you're not doing that, you're not gonna win.
Right. No, that's facts. So, how does, I always wonder, like, how does like syndication work when it comes to being on radio? So you could be on radio in Philly and then still get that same station in other places?
Yeah. So because everything is so interconnected, it's really just like, it's as easy as flipping a switch, really. It's just like, hey, you know, we're gonna send this show down there, and it's the same music, and
the same thing, but just in another region.
Yeah.
Another place.
Some stations, they play their own music, and then what will end up happening is you just end up getting like the talk
From that
portion
person? Okay.
from the show, and then you'll just get it. Like, so I'll put you on. You ever be listening to the radio, especially on a morning show, and then you just hear them cut to like the middle of their conversation? Steve Harvey's show does this a lot.
Okay.
And it's like they never started.
Yeah.
They never said, "Hey, this is the Steve Harvey morning show," whatever. They never began talking, because that's how you're supposed to begin talking
like
on the radio.
Intro,
but
yeah.
it's just like they're in the middle of the conversation. It's because he's somewhere else doing his show, and they maybe are in commercials in a different time, or maybe they're playing music at a different time. So you're literally just taking that feed and broadcasting the feed to where you are.
Okay.
So maybe their commercials were 8 minutes, but your commercial in your station was 10 minutes. So now there's that 2 minutes of difference.
So now you missed that little
So
part.
now you missed the first 2 minutes. So that's why when you turn on and it's like Shirley Strawberry's in the middle of her letter, you're like, well, damn,
Yeah.
what happened to the first part of the letter? It's because they're syndicated, and that's where they had to catch it, depending on whatever technical thing was happening behind the scenes. So some of them are like that. Some of them are, they send you the talk breaks, and you just kind of plot it in between the music. So it kind of depends on how the show is structured and how live it is. Like the Steve Harvey show is live, whereas like all you got to do is take the feed, and if it doesn't match up with your commercial length, or if it doesn't match up, you just got to try to make it work.
Just make it work.
Yeah, and even if it cuts stuff off, it just, I mean, it sounds terrible, but if you kind of get the gist of what they're talking about, if you keep listening.
Yeah, you listen, you'll get it. So when it comes to the podcast, like it's like so many podcasts, it's like almost like a race at this point, when you, especially being in radio. Like, are you working to try to push your podcast, to try to be like the top podcast, or is this just something that you just want to give your fans and just kind of share your experiences and invite the people you like? Or more of a personal thing?
I kind of asked myself that question too, because I'm the kind of person, like, if I do something, I'm going to do it to the fullest of its ability. Right now, I think that I have so many different shows that it's almost like that's just something more to add, right? Like, again, you have to be where the consumer is. So I have to have some part of my show that's on a streaming platform. Otherwise, I'm missing out on those people.
Those customers, yeah.
Right, like learning about me, or maybe some of these people don't even know I'm on the radio. So it's like they now can learn, about me via this, this streaming.
Connection.
Right. So for me, it's not like, because I have 2 other shows, it's not like I'm in a situation where it has to be my main thing. It's kind of just an offering for like extra behind the scenes.
Right.
Like a lot of the times, like something will happen on air and then I'll talk about it there, like more in depth. Or maybe if there's like a topic that we're talking about on air, we can't talk about it forever. I got to get in and out, So it's like, I can't talk that long on the radio. Yeah, this is not a talk show. We got to play music.
Right.
So if I have something that I really feel like needs like that conversation of like, you need to have something long, like a longer conversation, longer than what I can do on the radio. That's what the podcast is there for. So it's just another outlet. It's not like I'm trying to make that like the biggest thing ever, but you want to have it as a backup in case you have to.
Right.
In case like there's so many different avenues for a podcast, like with the Roots Picnic, you see the podcast stage now.
Right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to not exclude yourself from those opportunities.
Facts.
But like Gilly and Wallow, they don't have a radio show. They have a podcast. So they put everything into that podcast.
Right.
So it kind of depends on what you have to offer. Like, I have 2 radio shows and a podcast. So obviously it's not gonna be like all in with my podcast.
Right.
Maybe life shifts one day.
It just adds to everything. It's pieces to your puzzle.
That's exactly
Your puzzle is a little different. Their puzzle is just all podcasts.
Yeah.
So that's what they go by. And yours is like, you're gonna get me on the radio.
Right.
My 2 shows and still add this to it.
Right.
That's
so,
dope.
and like SiriusXM is like so cool because we do a lot of live performances. So I get that aspect of like a live concert, kind of like we had Coco Jones on. And she was singing. Nice. Oh man, she was incredible. We had a live audience. It's cool. Like, every outlet gives me like something different that I can do, you know, like I get to be more involved in like live performances and, you know, dealing with the audience and, you know, like on that platform.
Right.
On 100.3 we do concerts, so I can get to host concerts, you know, and I do radio interviews, and you know, I get to talk to more local people, so that's a different side of it. And at SiriusXM, it's a national platform, so there's certain people I just can't talk to on that platform because they're not a national brand.
Right.
So it's like I get to do a little bit of everything that I love with these different like avenues. So with the podcast, unless I one day don't have radio shows, I don't see that being as like the main thing, you know. It's kind of just something for you to find me somewhere.
Yeah, that's super dope. Listen, I appreciate you coming. I don't want to hold you up no longer. Let everybody know how they could tap into the podcast, to your other radio show. They already know to find you at 100.3 to be, what is it, 100.3?
R&B. Yeah, it's been everything. Yeah. So I'm on Monday through Friday, 100.3 R&B. And then I'm on 10 a.m. to 2 to 3, 10 a.m. to 3. And then on SiriusXM, I'm on every night on The Heat. It's a hip hop and R&B channel, and I'm on Monday through Friday. And I'm on the weekends as well, but I'm doing like a countdown on the weekends. But every night I'm on there. It's called Mina's House. Then you can check out my podcast on any of your streaming platforms, Mina's House Podcast. And my website, minasaywhat.com. Everything you need to know about me is like right there. Social media, obviously, at Mina Say What. So just tap in. I'm everywhere where you are, okay? TikTok, Instagram,
meet them where they at. Gotta be where they at.
You gotta meet them where they at.
Listen, I hope you enjoyed the food.
Yeah, I didn't finish because
we about to, you know, they know when the camera's cut.
Listen, I went through one napkin. I'm like, I'm the kind of person I go through like 10 napkins.
Yeah, because you keep wiping your hands.
Right. So I'm like, I went through one napkin. I think that's enough for now. Now I can go through the other 5 napkins.
Now we about to get into it. So y'all already know what's up. It's your boy Smooth. We got Mina Say What. It's Cooking Up 215, the best podcast in Philly. Let's go.